Hello Internet, Atlas Rides here, and today I'm going to be talking about how I took my TW200 to the Imperial Dunes in California. It was a hassle, but it worked. I thought that I was going to hop on, take a little ride in the sand, and be done with it because it was horrible. But I actually ended up riding the TW the whole time. Now of course, quad, way better, or maybe even a higher CC bike would be way better, but the TW really did it. So I'm going to go over my tire pressure, shock settings, gearing, and basic riding tips that I learned to ride this thing in the dunes. So to start off, I'm going to talk about tire pressure. Now, from the factory, your stock PSI should be 18 front and rear. Well, what we did is we lowered the rear pressure to 8 PSI to give it more contact area, and you can go lower than that, but I wouldn't recommend it because you risk breaking the bead and tearing your tube and ruining your whole trip. So we left it at 8 PSI. Now the front tire is 18 PSI like it should be, just so it cuts through the sand. And another thing we did is we changed the shock setting to soft. That probably played a good role in how well this thing performed. Don't know why, just thought I'd leave it in here. And the third thing is we also changed the gearing. Now, I have a 47 tooth rear sprocket, which means it gives it a little more speed and a little less torque. That's all probably played a role in it. But as you can see, coming up this hill, it did perfectly fine. Riding style wise, you're in second gear the entire time. First gear is too torquey, too short, and it's gonna dig yourself a hole. Third gear is way too low in the RPM to comfortably ride. You always want to be really high up in the revs just in case you had to hit a little hill or save yourself from something. It's way better to be up in the revs to save yourself. Now, as you can see, these three quads in front of me, they're doing, cruising around these big bowls, and with the TW you really can't do that. You can't keep enough speed to do it. And another thing that is really, really common on the TW when you're taking it in the dunes is this. Getting stuck. Not that cool wheelie. Getting stuck. You will get stuck a lot. Sometimes it'll be little, like this, hop off, push it back around, go back down the hill. Other times it is in a deep sand pit with all of the softest sand at the bottom that you will have to push and fight your way out of. It is why I will never take that thing back to the dunes. But if you had to, if you want to, or if you're just semi-interested in taking your TW to the dunes, it can do it. Enjoyably? Kind of. Because when you're riding, the bike is constantly moving, and you have to follow what the bike is doing. You cannot fight the bike on the dunes because you are going to crash.
I got it.
And when you hit hills, you can't slow down. There's no slowing down, there's no hesitation, because you have to hit it with enough speed and enough momentum to carry the bike up. Now sometimes before a hill you'll get a little bit of traction. You feel it, okay, bike's starting to move faster, but sometimes that rear wheel just spins and you got to keep your momentum to get up this hill. So with this, the hill that I just got stuck on, I went up and then I came down this big hill, probably half throttle, and then just punch it right before the bottom of the hill. And it makes it up. Barely. Every single hill I went over, it barely made it. But it made it. And right there I had a little bit of a bobble, which will happen all the time because I just suck at riding. And coming up here over this hill, it was funny. Because you have to take turns wide. So I took this turn wide, realized that's a big drop off, don't want to go down there. And then sometimes the sand just claimed you. I was just going in a straight line, gonna go up that hill, already had my line set, and it just fell over. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. It just grabs you in the wrong way and you can't steer out of it. A, because you're not going fast enough, and B, because it just does what it wants to. And it's really tough to get used to riding it in this soft of sand. But hopefully this has educated someone out there who wants to take their TW to the dunes and how to do it, and that you can do it. Now, I had a lot of trouble finding if I could do it, how you do it, so we just said screw it, we winged it, and I went on my way. And it outperformed my expectations. But it takes a certain person to enjoy that style of riding. I personally did not. I did not enjoy it whatsoever. Constantly fighting with the bike, even just going from a stop was tough. So I'd much rather a quad or a bigger bike. But other than that, hopefully these tips have helped someone out there. And yeah, that was my experience. There should be a video coming soon. Normal riding type video. Might see some of these clips in there. And with that, I'm Atlas, and I'll see you in the next video.